All right. We are on live with Deri Tyton. And I want to give him a proper introduction because there is a lot that this brother has done, and I'm pretty sure will do. So let me get this bio. All right. Deri Tyton is award-winning writer, producer, director. Woo, the trifecta, who grew up in Chicago and now is living in LA, correct?
Yes.
All right. He very imaginative growing up, interested in films, but it wasn't until 1999 when he was invited to PA, that's production assistant, right? On the independent film set, which prompted him to write the screenplay Toots and Blows in 2001. As a self-taught filmmaker, that's the best school. That's what I hear. I'm not a filmmaker, but I hear that that is the best school. He produced 3 critically sought out films, Welcome to the South Side, The Party Line, and Love Bones. In each of these films, Deri deals with personal themes of love and sacrifice. One of the guys that I interviewed earlier said that every story is a love story at the heart of it. So, you know, I don't know how true that is for you, but it seems to be a theme that runs through. In 2015, his latest film, Finding Forever in Love, where he wrote and directed and produced. Wow. So he has so much going on, guys. There's so much more that I could read, but he is I'm assuming, the owner, founder of the Film Mechanics process to writing a screenplay that works. So welcome, Deri Tyton. How are you doing, brother? And thank you.
Hey, glad to be here.
That's right.
Sorry about the shade. I gotta I've been, one of the things I've been writing, normally when I'm in my writing, I don't shave. It kind of keeps me focused. It's something that's small to, to me or to somebody else, but it actually is my deadline. Like when I'm writing, I'm on a deadline. I can't shave until I'm finished writing something. So, and not only that, but I have to cut. I have to cut my son's hair, and when I cut his hair, I have to shave too. So
okay,
you could tell he's been without a haircut for a couple weeks, right?
That's right. I cut my kids' hairs too, so I feel you on that one. All right, let's hop into this because
yes, sir.
I'm starting a new page called Screenwriter Dad, where I am trying to help those novice writers that are just starting out sort of get that information that could help, sort of ease the learning curve. Because when I started, and I'm new to the game as well, when I started about 4 years ago, I was basically piecing things together from reading and writing and joining groups and, getting feedback and so forth. And there was a lot of things that I wish I would have known, kind of sped up the curve for me, the learning curve for me. So I wanted to produce something that could help those novice screenwriters that are just starting out sort of get on track and sort of stay focused on I don't know if it's the right things, but at least the most fundamental things so that they could be more successful in a way.
Oh, yeah.
You've done them all. So you have a very diverse and I would say multiplicitous perspective on these things, because you write, direct, and you produce. So you have a very well-rounded view on these things. So I think this is going to be gold in my opinion.
Yeah. And I edit too. So I'm getting more and more into editing as well.
Oh, really? Oh, see?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you doing it all.
I think a lot of writers should really focus on edit. I think a lot of writers should focus on editing. Well, like this, I'm saying it wrong. I think a lot of writers should know about what an editor job is.
Okay.
Right. And what I mean by that is editors, they have to do a lot of different tedious stuff, right? After a film is shot, they have to go in, organize it. They have to, kind of get the score, the soundtrack together, colorists. They have to do a lot of different things. But the most important thing that they do on a timeline is they have to put your film in a 3-act structure.
Mm.
You know, like they have to structure it out. So a lot of writers, when they go in, they're going in just like, I'm going to write the screenplay. You know, I'm gonna learn these things. I'm gonna take these classes and watch these videos. I'm gonna do all these different things. I'm gonna read these books. I'm gonna read these screenplays. Yeah, and then you write it, and somebody pick it up, and then they produce it. Let's say you write it and you want to film it yourself, and then you need an editor, and you go get like a really good editor. A really good editor knows that your film needs to be in a 3-act structure, so they kind of follow a structure that they have, like Dan Harmon's structure, right? So are you familiar with Dan Harmon?
No. Oh, yeah. Dan Harmon. Okay. Yes.
So they may do the Dan Harmon. So a lot of editors in Hollywood may follow a Dan Harmon structure for your film. But if your film is not wrote in a structure, it makes it harder for them to do their job. So they may say, hey, look, I need to take a piece of the ending and put it in the beginning, because I need to be able to solidify why certain things is happening. Right. So that's one of the things that's one of the things I started when I got into editing. I started being around editors. I started noticing oh, okay. So they actually function like writers. You know, they have a lot of pre-production stuff. They have to organize every single little thing. They have to do they're researching music, color, where should it go, slow motion, stop motion. Like they're organizing so many different things to be creative, just as a writer is, you know.
I always thought like, okay, so the writers, to me, like the first sort of storyteller, and then the director is the second storyteller, and now it seems like the editor is the third storyteller.
Yeah, and there's a fourth storyteller in that too.
Okay. So
the fourth storyteller is your audience. Like once it's edited and it's put in front of everybody, what will people say about it?
Right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? How do they talk about your story? How do they tell your story? You know, that's a very important component of, because remember, screenwriting, or writing alone is an emotional energy, right? It's emotional energy. Transference of a character or some characters who felt a certain way about a certain thing, wanted to do something about it, and pretty much they either achieved or didn't achieve. You know, they either believed in themselves or they didn't believe in themselves. It either happened or it didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, don't forget the audience also has to, and a lot of people say don't write for the audience, never write for the audience, right? But you also want to give them something that when they, when you put it in front of them and they walk away from you, you also want them to be able to carry your film with them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Some sort of impact.
Yeah,
Okay. All right, well, let's jump into this first question. What is the most fundamental action a novice screenwriter needs to take?
The fundamental action. I would be funny. I would say buy my book, right? But
plug it. What is it?
It's actually a true statement. I'm plugging my book. It's right here. So this is called, oh, can you see it? It's called The Film Mechanic.
Okay.
Boom. So The Film Mechanic screenwriting workbook. Now, why do I say that, right? The fundamental action. Because a lot of times people want to go into screenwriting thinking that, I read screenplays and I saw on TV how movies are made and things like that.
Right.
But what they fail to realize is in order to write really, really good screenplays is not to keep doing it over and over and over again, but to also create a process. Like, do you have a legit process that you go into? And that's what I teach. Before you write your screenplay, I help you develop a process. The first thing you want to do is you want to know what your story is. From your story, you want to know what genre you're writing in. You want to know your themes, right? Like these are important elements. Like what is your major dramatic question or your central dramatic question? What is that one thing that your film is trying to answer? Will Superman save the day? And that's 90 pages of Superman trying to save the day, whether he saved the day or not. But we got 90 pages of trying to answer that one question, right? You know what I'm saying? Will Carrie get revenge? You know what I'm saying? So you spend 90 pages of trying to see if Carrie actually do get revenge. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So will Romeo get the girl? You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much the gist of it. And from there, you want to be able to say, okay, I want to go into my, what genre this is. And then you want to go into your character development, which is like creating a backstory for your characters. And a lot of times you can create backstory for your characters. But let's say you have a character that's not really important. As a minor character, I'm gonna say it's a sub character, right? And you don't know how to create a backstory for them. Then you create an archetype for them. You grab an archetype and you implement an archetype, because that's what people are familiar with. They're familiar with,
right?
Like cocky jocks. They're familiar with the the ditzy cheerleader. They're familiar, like you plug those right in, the nerdy professor. You plug that right in and give them some dialogue, and it starts to shape and form them. You understand what I'm saying?
And just real quick, for those that may not know, so archetype is a sort of character that's been sort of written or talked about throughout history in different cultures. And it's sort of at the deep psychological level of pretty much every human. So we automatically recognize them. That's what an archetype character is, just for those students.
Right. And from there, you just go, you talk about characters' journeys, the inner journey, the outer journey. And then from there, you talk about the character's world. What is the world they live in? What is the world they're going to visit and then return back to, different, and things like that. So that's pretty much, I think that's what it is. It's developing a process for them, so they'll be able to, that's the fundamental thing, being able to not just understand what they're writing about, or, not just understanding the arcs and the themes and the formats and things like that, but what is your story? Do you know your story? I think that's the most important thing.
Awesome. Oh my God. That's extra game right there. I think they need to pay me for that. All right. In terms of screenplays, what is structure and why is it so important?
Ooh, structure. Okay, so structure is the 5th chapter in my book after the log line. The 4th chapter is log line. And the reason why I'm talking from my book is because my book, I went to film school, okay, right? And I didn't get taught necessarily process, right? I had one teacher that kind of did it a little bit, but it wasn't like a legit way of them doing it. So I felt like, I was like, all right, how do you write a screenplay? And I started thinking about process. And I would listen to all of the other people when they talk about process. So structure. Mm-hmm. Man, so look, Marcus, I'm gonna be honest with you. Structure is fundamentally one of the most privileged things any writer can afford to spend their life on. Okay. And what I mean by that is it's so many, like I mentioned, Dan Harmon, Michael Haig has a structure, John Truby has a structure, Sid Fields have a structure, Robert McKee has a structure, Linda Seeger has a structure, Jill Chamberlain has a structure, and all of these Blake Snyder has a structure. And all of these structures have been were created within the framework of the 3-act structure in order to have so billions and billions of dollars of film. Right. People have taken these structures, implemented their films inside of these structures. These films have sold to producers in front of audiences, and now they're in front of us either in a theater screen or a television screen or a phone screen or a bus screen, or they're on TikTok, or they're on Facebook, or they're, what I'm saying, but they're in front of us, a computer screen, but they're in front of us, right? So structure is really really one of the most important things any writer could actually do. I think I just had this conversation yesterday, and I think what is important was the friend I was talking to was saying, well, I don't want to, write to page 35 and know that it's a plot point on page 35. And I said, if you're a beginning writer, you should write to page 35 and know that it's a plot point on 35. When you get into about your fourth or fifth or sixth or maybe 10th script, then your plot point gonna change between page 28 and 32, or 25 or 22 and 27. Because then you will know how, and as a reader, you don't even know a plot point is happening because the action, conflict, like the characters are so enjoyable to read. The prose,
right?
How you write in prose is so enjoyable. You don't even see that it's a plot point. So, I think that's one of the things that I feel why structure is so important, because it doesn't matter if you write it, the editor is going to have to put it in structure anyway.
Yeah.
Directors, they don't direct your film from page 1 to page 90 in the exact order that it is.
Right.
If we in this house on page 1 and page 17 and page 33 and page 54, we might shoot all these in just 2 days.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we're not shooting. We're not going, if everything is happening in the pizza parlor, we got 13 days to shoot in the pizza parlor. We shooting the ending first and then the beginning, and we've seen where people have shot the end of the movies first. You know what I'm saying? They shot sex scenes last, so the chemistry, between the characters can kind of grow over time, and then they'll feel comfortable with each other when they get into that scene. Sometimes that's shot first. You know what I'm saying? Because some directors feel like just having that ambiguity in nature, that uncomfortableness, being touched and wanting to touch, that may look good on film, so every director is different. Everything is different. Okay.
And so I was just going to add to that, so for the novice screenwriter, what you need to do is learn whatever structure it is that you like, whether it's John Truby or Jill Chamberlain or Sid Field, whatever. Learn that structure, practice that structure or structures like it. And once you get good enough, once you have command of it, then you can start playing with the structure or whatnot. But I think you made a good point, Deri. It's like, if you're doing it right, if you will, you don't notice it, you feel it. You feel the action and the emotion of the story.
Right.
Really what the structure should really do in the end is move the reader or the audience who's watching this film emotionally, I say it's psycho-emotional. Right.
And just to tack on to that, I do want to reiterate, some structures are kind of stagnant a little bit. So, as a writer and the kind of stories that, you may want to tell, you may find a combination between 3 structures that fit what you're trying to do. Your first act may be Michael Haig, your second act may be John Truby, and your third act may have a little bit of Jill Chamberlain or Blake Snyder, because, or it may be a combination of those 3 individuals in terms of how you want to give your story. They're all saying something prominent. It's just a matter of you what your process of story showing is.
Right. And there's this book that I started reading and have to finish, but the title of it is Story Trumps Structure. Mm-hmm. I think it would probably be more accurate to say that structure serves story.
Right.
That would probably be more accurate for me, is that depending on your story, that should determine sort of what structure you use to tell that story.
Well, one of the things, Marcus, is we hear people say this all the time, like the older, we hear people say this all the time, the older screenwriters in the industry, how they don't necessarily use structure.
Right.
And I think whenever you're talking to writers and things like that, novice writers, I think you're really not giving them the fortitude to make it in this industry. And why do I say that? Because at the end of the day, you could write any film, but 9 times out of 10, they may give your film to someone else, right? Like your film may have 3 or 4 writers on it, right? And the more, and I'm just talking about in terms of Hollywood. So in terms of like, as the script transfer up the ladder, right? It gets better with better writers, right? So if I wrote a film based on everything that I've learned and everything that I can do and everything that I've written, and then it goes into somebody like, what I'm saying, somebody who wrote, Gemini Man, he's going to find a way to put it in structure.
Right.
No matter what I did, he's going to find a way to put it in a structure in which it works for the actual studio. You know what I'm saying? So, nobody, I don't want to confuse any novice writer and say it has to, like, your film has to be in structure.
Right.
You're like any writer, any person that wants to sit down and writes a screenplay, because I've read these screenplays. Right. I can tell they are, you may have never read a screenwriting book. You may have never watched a screenwriting class or taken a class or watched any professional that talk about screenwriting per se, but you can write a screenplay, right? But you looked at one screenplay and tried to write it just like that, formatted the same way, the format, right? Right. What I do know is some about that first act may just be like 50 pages long. Mm-hmm. Some about the second act may just be about 32 pages long. And some about that third act is going to be so exhilarating, that 25 pages, and the third act is going to be beautiful writing. Right. Because you've watched so much TV, you've seen so many films, your mind is already conditioned to write in 3 acts. You just don't know how to do it. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yep. We all have been conditioned to see things. That's why we watch something and it seems longer or off. We like, something ain't right about this. Right. Yeah. Something not right. Like, because our brains have been conditioned to 3 acts, 4 acts. Right. All right. What stories are popular or sort of being sold in the marketplace right now? What are they looking for? Horror. They are looking for anything that's gonna scare the bejesus out of people. And this and what's so weird is like horror films nowadays not even as scary as the stuff that we came up with 976 Evil and like back in the day when I was going to the movies, like Critters, Creepers, Jeepers, like some of those movies, man, like they used to scare the crap out of me. Like even the Wiz, the lady and the lady that got flushed down the toilet in the Wiz, like she was even creepy. And that was supposed to, we dancing and having a good time, and that was even, so I think horror is the genre that most people are looking for. Sci-fi, of course, sci-fi and horror more than anything, but don't shortchange drama, man. That's my genre. Don't shortchange drama. People still love a good, excellent drama. Right. They love it. And do you think with Corona and the sort of shutdown, obviously that changed film and the film industry, but because people are so sort of in this mode of being locked down and whatnot, that sort of created this need for things to help people escape even more than the average escapism that movies tend to bring us? Let me just say this. I heard that from writers in the industry that they're not looking for dramas, and obviously if it's good, but they're looking for things to sort of take people away from the reality of COVID and the lockdown and all that stuff. So this is when I have a problem with that per se, right? Okay. There's only 2 genres, 2 main genres. It's either gonna be comedy or tragedy, right? And tragedy is what I mean by drama, right? So if there's only 2 main genres, it's gonna be either or. So no matter if it's a Western, it's going to be either a dramatic Western or it's going to be a comedy Western. If it's going to be a sci-fi, it's either going to be a dramatic sci-fi or it's going to be a comedy sci-fi. Your pick. But it's not going, it's not, you're not going to tell me that, you know, is nobody's looking for genre, I mean, for drama, when yes, we are. You know, we are looking for, and that's what I'm saying. Like even with horror films, even like even watching Candyman, so I watched 3 good films in the last 2 days.
Okay.
I watched Candyman. I went and saw Candyman at the theater. That's of course, a horror drama.
Right.
And I saw Really Love by Felicia Pride on Netflix.
I want to see that one, yeah.
And that was a drama. And I saw Vacation Friends on Hulu. And that was a comedy. And out of the 3, Vacation Friends was really good, right? It was like, I love comedy films, but I'm like, come on, y'all gotta, give me something funny to hold on to. And that it really did. And that's what you're gonna get. I like watching Manifest, which is paranormal stuff, right?
Right.
It's still drama at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So Queen Sugar, like look at the award-winning stuff. Like don't let them tell you they're not looking for. Now, in a vein of drama of just 1 or 2 people rubbing up against each other, causing friction and conflict. Like they may not say that but I mean, hero movies, drama or comedy, you know what I'm saying? And most likely comedy, if you're talking about Marvel or anything like that, you know what I'm saying? Batman, can be a little dramatic at times, but it's still the same thing.
Okay.
So don't let them tell you like, oh yeah, we only looking for, we only looking for something like a musical. We only musicals are selling right now. Only musicals. Oh, you looking for a comedy? Yes. Okay, I got you. Just with musical elements, because the thing of it is, and I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna let you go ahead and finish your interview. The thing of it is not so much as 2 genres, it's the genre conventions. It's genre conventions, and every genre has its own conventions. So therefore, a blending of genres will be a blending of genre conventions. So whatever they tell you they're looking for a drama plus this. So they're looking for the genre conventions of those things. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to add that in there.
All right. How does a novice screenwriter build up their value in the industry?
How they build up the value in the industry?
Yeah, how do they build their value in the industry?
That's a very hard question. And the reason why I say that is because okay, so let me answer that question like this.
Okay.
You have as a screenwriter in the industry, you have a goal. Your goal is not, and I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, right? So your goal is not to win an Academy Award.
Okay.
That is not your goal, to win an Emmy. Your goal is to be a working writer in the industry, continuously sought out, continuously getting plugged into jobs, continuously working, because there are writers who can win an Academy Award that may never write again, that may never get the big jobs again. There are writers who may never win an Academy Award, you may never know, and they're consistently working, making monuments, buckets of money. Yeah. And not only are they writing, but they're producing. You understand what I'm saying? So that's, I think, how do you add value to that? Your job is to write, make yourself accessible to producers, to production companies, to create your own work, to evolve in this industry. I came in as a writer, director, producer, And I stumbled upon those things. But one of the things that I did do was I started to look at myself as, and how do I evolve in this industry to keep myself adding value to myself? So I started the film mechanics.
Okay.
Right. People would send me screenplays. I write for other people. I do consulting with other people. I have I do the film mechanics screenwriting class. I created a book. I have a podcast. So I'm constantly, I have what is called Films Make Money, my
That's
shirt.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Films Make Money, which is my apparel company for filmmakers or
Okay.
screenwriters for comfortable wear on set. Or in your home. So I'm constantly trying to find ways to evolve in this industry. Sometimes I get scripts from people, from producers, to structure, put it in structure format, and read it and things like that. Sometimes I table reads. I host table reads for other writers. I mean, but that's how you add value to yourself. You consistently, continuously make yourself accessible as not a person that knows everything about screenwriting, but as a person that's adding to the value of to better screenwriters, to create better screenwriters. Not only do I want to be a better screenwriter, but I'm adding value to how to create better screenwriters.
That's right. All right. Now, once they sort of create this value, what is the next step for a novice screenwriter?
Every screenwriter wants to be produced, right? That's the intrinsic goal of all of this. That's the reason why we do this, to be produced, right? How do we get produced? Oh my goodness, there is no one way.
The $1 million question.
There's not a one way of getting this done. There is no one path that we all can take in order to do it. You have to find the path that provides you the most profound way in order for you to get what you want out of this. Okay, so this is weird. So I'm on Twitter more than anything.
Okay.
I love screenwriting Twitter. It is the best place to learn, to get to know, to understand, to celebrate, to feel the doggedness as a screenwriter that, you keep sending out and get rejection letters. What does that like? It's like therapeutic, I guess, for me, right, as a writer. So I stumbled upon somebody posted one of the producers over at Insecure, Amy J. Aniobi. So you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. So
Amy put on her website a list of all of her journey. Yeah. Like her journey as a writer to get to where she is, like through the years. And man, it's full of rejection. It's full of her being able to, make leaps and bounds and believe in herself and submitting her stuff and writing her stuff, that she did get accepted into some things, but she was rejected out of a lot of things. And the more she stayed in it, the more she stayed on course of it, it worked for it, but it worked for her in her way. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Some people will look at like a show like, let's say a show like Modern Family. You're a writer on Modern Family, right? Yeah. So you got to be doing something right if you're on that show, right? And the same person may say, well, a writer on Insecure, yeah, I mean, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Anybody could write about Black life, right? Any Black person could write about Black life. No, that is an incorrect statement, okay? Amen. That is so incorrect, because not only do you have to write about quote unquote Black life, but you got to make what Black life or Black woman life, or, what that life look is palatable for a market. Right. not just, for, you're not just writing for Black people. You got to write to the market too. Even though, some things they could try, some things that they try that doesn't work, they do it 5 different ways at 5 different times. And the 4th one is the best one, because that's the one that the studio say, yeah, that's the one we want to go with. I feel more comfortable with her saying, instead of her saying, look, bitch, I feel better when her saying, bitch. And even though to us, we may take it and it may become a part of our vernacular, but
Right.
they are creating a way to create for the market, right? So I think that's the thing, what I'm saying, to kind of answer the question, is there's no one journey, there's no single-handed path that everybody is going to take. I've been rejected so many times, man. I have so many rejection letters for so many things I've done, but I've also done work on stuff that I didn't get my name put on, and that's been on TV. And I don't talk about stuff like that because I feel like, we work in an environment that says, if I was to say, look, I was a writer on VP, and you like, oh, for real, Deri? Okay, let me go look and see. But I didn't get my name on the credits. I didn't get my name on the credit.
Right.
So they like, oh, your name ain't on it. So you sure you wrote that? You sure? Are you positive you wrote that? I don't know, man. You a storyteller. You be telling stories. So so I try to stay away from that, man. If I did some work on it and I got paid for it, my name is not on it, I just kind of stay away from it. In a sense, I may mention it. I will never mention it in this platform.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because people will go look for it. And if my name is not there, they're like, oh, well, maybe he did. Maybe he did.
Yeah. So develop basically a determination, a dogged determination to get wherever you're going. Because
got to have that. You got to have it.
If you're going to be a writer or any kind of sort of specialty in the film entertainment world, you're going to get a lot of no's. You got to have tough skin. You got to have tough skin. All right. Well, brother, I appreciate you so much.
I want to, Marcus, I want to say one thing too, man, before we get out of here. I know I have to say this because this is really important. As a screenwriter, as a novice screenwriter, I think you need a therapist too. Ooh. Right? Like, let me say it like this. Not only is it dogged determination or just that work ethic in order to get it done, but how do you deal with rejection? How do you deal with somebody changing your story? How do you deal with you've been writing for 13 years and never have produced anything, but every day you wake up, the life of a writer keeps calling you to continue to write? And how do you not beat yourself up? How do you not doubt yourself? How do you become how do you fear less in the face of all of the obstacles in front of you in order to make it in this industry or to get work in this industry? It's not about you being able to have the biggest film on the biggest stage. What is important is you're able to keep yourself working, and you will need mental mental breaks before you have a mental breakdown from writing. One of the most important things any writer could ever do is to understand who they are as a writer. You want to write something, but what if you just wrote movies about dogs, or horses? It is a genre of horse films where people write films with horses and they get paid for that. It is films where people write movies about dolphins, and they get paid for that. And it's films about dogs and they get paid for that. That's why we got Sounder and Lassie and all these other films. Benji, like it is people who have these niche genres and you can get paid. Your goal is to continue to stay working. And when you're not working, sometimes take a mental break,
Mm.
reevaluate, you know, the goals at hand. Yes, you have one of the most important psychological thrillers of our time that needs to be made. Yes, you do have that. Man, that is amazing. I'm so happy for you. But you can write a film you could do 13 Mother Day films and they all get picked up because that's a niche market.
Right.
You know, yes, your psychological thriller didn't get made and people keep passing it over. But if you write 13, you getting paid. If you getting paid in this production company, that production company, that production company is giving you 10,000 each for your Mother's Day film, that's $30,000 in a time, and they shooting it, and you may
Right.
get back in, and you may get when they get licensed out, you may get money from the licensing. So you have to think like, and then the next year you do another 3 or 4 films like that, and they all get picked up. You still, you know, as you go, they're gonna be sending you more work.
Right.
You're good, like don't get caught up in the fact that you can't do niche writing. I've done niche writing, man. I did a movie about a shark, man, and it was man, but it had to be like in the location can only be 2 locations, the water and the boat,
Gotcha.
right? That was it. And I needed a shark, and it only had to be like 5 friends or something like that. So
Okay.
it's like, so when you think of like 47 meters, you think of Jaws, you think of Megalodon, you think of like all these shark, like it's a niche for like people love these films, and that's when I was hired to write that. That's when I figured out like, yo, wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute, I'm missing money out here. Like you're missing money. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like if you know, it's one thing to, like I said, I'm gonna let you go. But it's one thing to write the most amazing biopic on Paul, you know, on somebody famous.
Yeah.
But your goal is to stay working in this market. You know what I'm saying? And you can change your name too. You know what I'm saying? You could be company X and write that over there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you come up with another name and write that for that niche, and then stay down straight center, you know, participant 4, and write the films that you like, that, and one of them get picked up. So what's
Right.
the goal?
That's right. Figure it out.
Stay working in this industry.
Work it.
Working. That's the goal. Stay working in the industry. You know, the awards and all of that stuff, that'll come. You know what I'm saying? Take too many people to win an Academy Award, G. Too many people.
Give me the paychecks.
You know what I'm saying?
More things.
Yeah,
Give me
yeah,
the paychecks.
you know what I'm saying? Look, hey, got these kids in here, got the wife over here. Hey, I need that money.
Right. Is there
Pay these
anything you
bills,
want to
baby.
plug? Is there anything you want to plug? Your film mechanics website, or anything that you have that you want to plug?
Anything for me, if I could plug anything, I would say you could go to my website, www.derityton.com, and all my information is on there. If you want to connect with me, go to Deri, derityton.com. And I think the most important thing is um, I love what you're doing, Marcus. I
Appreciate
love,
it.
you know, for screenwriting dads. I could show you on my wife's whiteboard many months ago, and I'm surprised it's still up there. I wrote fathers, comma, right, exclamation point. And I wanted to do a Facebook page about fathers who were writers and getting them together. And, you know, because we have a different kind of way of writing and, you know, having to live and stuff. So I'm gonna put that down, and I'm gonna let you build. And I'm going to, if you need anything from me, young man, you know,
Appreciate that.
anything from me in terms of helping to keep fathers or bringing fathers together, writers who are, you know, screenwriters who are dads, you know, plug me in. If you getting your, if you doing a 501c3 and you need a board member, plug me in. I'm here for you, brother.
Man, I appreciate that, dude. I appreciate your time as well, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. You have a good one, brother.
Yes, sir. Sorry it takes so long. I'm long-winded,
I
man.
loved
I'm
it.
a writer.
I loved it. And I think that it's going to be very, very, very helpful for a lot of people.
Okay. Reach out to me for anything you need, Marcus. I'm gonna send you my number too.
Okay.
All right. Peace, brother.
Peace.
Give